Welcome back, everybody, to I'll Hang Up and Listen, brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from at all of their locations. If you need a beer, make sure you make it a Fatty Beer and let them know two goalies, one Mike sent you. I am Duane, obviously, your host from Two Goalies, One Mike, writing it kind of solo tonight. Sabres lose their sixth in a row, 4-0 to the Florida Panthers in the most uninspiring fashion possible. A Josh Norris debut. I know a lot of the players are sick. I know we were missing a handful of guys tonight. Some type of bug is going around the room. And listen, I understand that entirely. I think I've been there. I think anyone who's played sports has been there. It sucks. You're missing guys like Kulik tonight, especially. Like that hurts your lineup, hurts your power play, or kind of jokingly hurts your power play, seeing as they don't even have a power play when he is there. But that being said, I don't know. It's a very uninspiring performance. 6 in a row. I mean, I guess we should have been specific, right? When we said got to win 10 in a row, maybe we should have been more specific on who needed to win 10 in a row. Maybe we should have been specific on, what we needed 10 in a row, because, we're almost halfway to 13 in a row again. I don't know. It's pretty terrible, to say the least. I think the most inspiring thing about that game tonight was Josh Dunn. I think that's how you pronounce his last name, Josh Dunn. Absolute nail gun fighting Greer, coming out of that scrum along the boards. Beat him so bad, ragdolled him so bad, he got lost in his own sweater. That was by and far, from a Sabres standpoint, the most impressive thing about that game. And I, for sure, keep him on. Don't send him back to Rochester until you absolutely have to. Because I think he earned himself a lot of respect in that room. He earned himself a lot of respect with fans. And I think he earned himself at least one or two more games in Buffalo. So love that out of him. That was a fantastic debut for a game where it didn't really have any solid moments. He saw, Matthias Samuelsson looked like absolute garbage. I mean, send this guy to Serbia. I don't know what to do with him anymore. It's that bad. It is that bad, man. He looked awful tonight. On the Greer goal, Greer barely bumps into him. He falls on his ass, and then Greer skates right behind UPL and, finds that loose puck that gets between UPL's legs and just puts it into empty net. And him just laying on his back, looking at the whole situation. They had a chance on a 3-on-2 rush up the ice, and Samuelsson literally runs into his own teammate, and then the whole play blows up, and it ends up as a 2-on-0 going the other way. Luckily for them, UPL made a huge save. I don't know. It was just a terrible, terrible performance. The fourth line was awful. Guy from Mauricio here, Krebs, Quinn, Benson line, atrocious. Quinn needs to be a healthy scratch next game. He should have been traded. He shoots. He needs to pass. He passes. He needs to shoot. No skill level, no talent. I totally agree, man. I see he has no talent. Definitely has talent, but that guy is as lost as gets. I don't know, man. You got to blow a lot of this roster up, I think, and not enough done. I graded. We'll talk more about it in the next episode with Two Goalies. And Mike will kind of recap, the moves that Kevin and Adams did make. But, I kind of gave Kevin like a B. I like Josh Norris a lot, even though you don't really much to say from his debut tonight. There really wasn't much to say or report on, because there, wasn't many high points or positive things to say about this game from really anyone. But I think in a lineup that was kind of broken just because, again, there is a bug going around the locker room. You didn't have, the lines you probably realistically wanted out there. Still no excuse for the way they played, but I'm going to give it a few games before I start judging Josh Norris. But I'm still excited about that player, because I think that he is a very good player if he stays healthy. I think you win that trade, in my opinion, if he stays healthy, because he is a goal scorer and he's a good 200-foot hockey player. So, I'll give it a few games before I really start to gauge judgment on Josh Norris. Nothing new is as good as we ever going to get with this team. Everybody's talking about the Buffalo Sabres. We were going to get better until the front office makes some changes, plain and simple. Everybody knows it, but because we're stupid as shit. I agree with you, Joey. I do. Perfect example. No depth scoring. Third and fourth lines are not even remotely threatening. I forget who it was that tweeted it out. It might have been Walt. I can't remember. But it's like mind-blowing that they are second in the league in scoring in 5-on-5, but nobody fears their power play. Nobody fears their power play. It is that bad. It is really that bad. Like, how are you that good 5-on-5, but this bad with the man advantage? It's actually impressive how bad they are. I mean, I don't know. From Josh Drag Race, all three of those players suck. Benson is overrated. I'm not going to listen. Benson, again, we had Johnny Lazarus on the other night for our trade deadline pregame show, and he mentioned, and I agree with him, this is one of the knocks on the Sabres. They tend to rush young players into situations they're not ready for. Benson being at the top of the list, like, right now, I mean, you could make so many examples of players in the past, even Jack Quinn too. Benson came in as an 18-year-old. He should have never been in the NHL. He should have went back to juniors. That was a terrible decision from Kevin Adams, an absolute atrocious decision. I think that he pushed himself to do because he didn't make any additions offensively in the offseason. So he's like, well, I'll just bring in Zach Benson. He had a great preseason. He had a great first few games. And, we think, he's a scrapper. He's exciting to watch. He had an awesome first career NHL goal, though, between the legs. But he should have never been in the NHL. And I'm not sure. I think I read that he is eligible to go to Rochester next year without having to, go through waivers. I think that's where he should start next year. You have that conversation with him. Listen, like, it's not that, we don't want you here. We like some of the strides you've made, but I think that you need to develop, refine some of the different parts of your game in Rochester where we know you're going to dominate. And, we'll see halfway through the season how you're looking. And maybe, you're our first guy we call up. Because to me, like, he should be scoring more. He second year in the league. I know that he's smaller. He isn't a fully grown adult yet, but like, he needs to be putting the puck in the net more for what the expectation was for him. And he's just not ready. His body's not ready for this game. His attitude is ready. His IQ is ready. I think he's a very smart hockey player. His passion is there. His body itself just is not ready for the NHL. And that's what the AHL is for. He should have never been in the NHL. Again, really, he's 19. But he came in the league as an 18-year-old. He should have never been in the NHL. That was a huge fumble by Kevin Adams in this organization, is pushing that kid into the National Hockey League way before he was ready. I get it. Great preseason. Great start to the regular season, but at the end of the day, like, he should have never been in the NHL. Should have never, ever been in the NHL. From Paul Derek, UPL stinks should have gone after goalie Wise. Power on the ice. He's terrible. I'm not going to speak on Power because, honestly, like, I'm not here to get criticized. I think I've said some of the things about Owen Power that I've needed to say. I don't think I need to say it anymore, like beating a dead horse. I think he has made positive strides in the second half of the season in certain parts of his game. And I will give credit where credit is due, but there were bigger problems, like way bigger problems tonight than Owen Power. Josh Kidd should have been the minors in the AHL next year and not even sniffing the pros until the next season. Again, I agree. I think he should start in Rochester next year. I like what Reve said on after the whistle yesterday. We are all Ryan O'Reilly now. Watch. This team has sucked the hockey fandom out of all of us. From Dave, how in the world does Adam still have a job 5 years and it's getting no improvement at all? I think we all know why he still has a job. Benson Quinn should ECT should have been developing in the AH entry. I'm not too sure what you mean by ECT there. Maybe I'm dumb. Developing the AHL. In fact, it could be sent down given the age. Benson, starting next year, I'm pretty sure he doesn't need to go through waivers. He can start right in the AHL. From Mauricio, Benson can't score, can't assist, can't hit What's his purpose or role at the bottom for your team? Overrated, over. Listen, I'm not going to allow like Zach Benson slander because I think he is going to be a great hockey player on this team. He is not like the Quins and what you saw from Cousins. That kid skates his ass off every game, and he is in every scrum. That kid plays fearless. So I'm not going to take. I'm sorry, I'm not going to handle. I'm not going to deal with Zach Benson slander on this post game. Listen, I know there's more. He's 19. He's 19. He should have never been put in this situation. He should have been in the AHL. This is not his fault. This is Kevin Adams' fault. 100% on Kevin Adams to have him in the NHL to start his, out of his draft year. He should have never been here. He should have went back to junior hockey. That's exactly where he should have been. You should do with him what you do at Savoy. And I never understood it. You can't send him back, Mauricio. I don't think you can. I don't think you can send him back to juniors at this point. Dave, he's so incompetent doing his job. Any other organization, he would have been fired. Yeah, he would have been, but we're not a competent organization. From Colin Smith, hate watching Norris get jumped by Reinhart. The only one that did something was Tage. Samuelson just stood there. Are we surprised? Remember when Kevin Adams said AHL players were scared of Beck and Mallenstein? Yeah. I remember how second round pick just Mallenstein. The NHL rules suck. Quinn needed to go to the AHL for a year to rehab his injury. Players' development and well-being is not a priority in the NHL. They need a goalie who catches the D. Who cares? The D is awful. Why didn't Lindy bring in his own guys? Listen, I think Lindy probably did have guys in mind. We tweeted out from two goalies with Mike earlier today. It was one from the Sabres Classic Twitter handle. It was Lindy Ruff's first game with the back in Buffalo when he went to the Rangers, and his defensive partner was James Patrick, who also happened to be one of his assistants in his first tenure. Like, Lindy has been in the league as a player and a coach for such a long, long time that you would have to imagine before taking the job, he had like assistants in mind. There's no doubt about it. He was told this is his staff. There is no other explanation for it. Seth Appert did not deserve to be a coach in the NHL. There's nothing he did in Rochester, not a single thing that he did as a head coach in Rochester that justified him being an assistant in the NHL. Like that Rochester team under him was buoyed by Devin Levi. It's how fantastic he played. Look how well they're doing without him as the coach now. Look how well. They should never got rid of Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor should have been on an NHL bench. Not Seth Appert. Should have been Michael Pekka there. Not Seth Appert. Not Marty Wilford for I don't know what reason anymore. And Matt Ellis should know. Like, I don't think Matt Ellis is going anywhere. He's best friends with Kevin. Kevin will find a place for him in this franchise, and that's the most annoying thing about it. But yeah, again, I agree with you. It's Rickus. Welcome to the program. I don't think I've seen you in the chat before, so thanks for hopping on. People love to bash on these players left and right, but the management has put these guys in the position to fail. I 100% agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. The organization has put these players in a position to fail. And it's not just Benson. It's been guys in the past. It was Jack Quinn. I mean, JJ Paterka, he's an outlier. I think he was ready more early than, maybe most other guys would have been at their point in their career. 100%. A lot of these guys, a handful of these guys should have never stepped foot on NHL ice this season. They should have made Kulik. Again, he did his time in the AHL, and he has shown some great strides at the NHL. And after the season here, he's going to go to Rochester, and he's going to tear it up, and he's going to hopefully lead them to a Calder Cup. I don't know. All Terry does is hire clueless businessmen who don't know how to build a competitive NHL team. I agree. Like, we had Lazzie on the other night, and we talked about all these things from a management standpoint. You have such a small scouting staff. The management, there's so much inexperience behind that NHL bench. If it's Don Granato still, like, we would probably have the most inexperienced coaching staff in the National Hockey League. No doubt about it. And it's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. Like, I genuinely don't even know what. I mean, as fans, are you guys at the point right now where you're like, I would rather be, playing for draft position at this point? Because here are the hard to come by facts of this whole situation. Is it's going to be tough. You're going to have to overpay in free agency to get free agents to want to come here, and if that doesn't work, it's generally going to come down to you having to draft well, because players are not going to waive their no move clause to come here. You have that trade for Josh Norris, and the only reason you're able to make that deal is because he hasn't played in the league long enough to qualify for a trade protection on his contract. That's just the truth. So, and those are the types of guys you're going to be trying to acquire in a trade. And honestly, like, what are you going to do? Like, I think that this draft this year, you have guys like Misa and I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name. You have this is a very deep draft with a lot of good talent. Those two defensemen that are supposed to be, again, I'm looking up their names right now outside of the obvious. But listen, there's a lot of talent in the top 5 of this draft. I think you should be trying to put yourself in a position to, possibly pick in the top 3 or 5. You guys have like Matthew Schaefer and James Hagens, the standout, with Boston College, the defenseman from Erie, Michael Misa, the center from Saginaw. And then again, like, you are really making out if you're picking any of those top 3 guys. But if you're drafting outside the top 3, you should probably consider maybe trading back to maybe acquire a top 6 guy. I hate to say it, man, but this could be like another one of those drafts where you could get a phenomenal player in the top 3 that could maybe step into the NHL if you want him to. Honestly, I don't think you force him to until leadership on this team that make it easier for a young player to step in and have success. I know I was on the side of trading Jason Zucker if he didn't resign, but I am ecstatic that he did extend, because I think he is going to be very useful to this team for the next 2 years. And I'm actually very surprised we only had to pay him $4.75 million a year. To me, that's like almost a discount. Really is. It's almost like a discount with the season that he was having. He's not even getting a raise in pay from his 1-year deal. It's, to me, the draft, if you were getting a top 3 pick, and they have a good chance to get a top 3 pick, I think, I'm not sure if, I know they're last in the East. They might be second. They might be damn near. I'm not sure. Let me take a look at that. Where they are overall in the NHL standings. But I think, let me see here. They have 54 points. That is the worst in the East compared to the West. The Blackhawks have 48 and the Sharks have 43. So, I mean, right now they're 3rd worst in the National Hockey League. Actually, no. 4th. Predators have 53. Wow. Even with as bad of a season as they're having, they're only 5th worst in the National Hockey. There's 4 teams that are worse than them somehow. To me, I would bring up more players from Rochester for a handful of games, reward the guys that deserve to be rewarded, give them a couple games, some experience. It's not going to hurt, Rochester's run at all. They're the best team in the AHL. See what you have. See more of Isaac Rosen. Maybe give Noah Ostlund a look. Novikov and some of these other defensemen that played well. Wahlberg. There's a handful of guys down in Rochester that you could reward for having such a good year down there, and give him a couple looks in the NHL. I mean, why not? Brent Murray, like, if anything, he's an exciting physical player. Like, you saw that with Josh doing tonight. And again, that's a guy that I wouldn't send back. I think Sabres fans would be mad if he sent that guy back, but I guess he was the high point of tonight's game. I'm at that point. I don't know if you guys are. I'm at the point where I don't care if they win another game the rest of the year. If it puts me in a position to take Misa Higgins or Schaefer, I'm all on board. Absolutely all on board. No doubt about it. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm gonna hit right here. I'm gonna pull up the post game comments from Brian Koziel. If you guys give me a moment here, from Lindy and the players. Let's see. Lindy on Josh Norris said Norris started strong, good first period, didn't lose a single face off. There's a positive. Thought he did a nice job on the penalty kill, but it's tough and not fair to judge a guy coming in late and all that. Went on with the trade. Lindy said they had opportunities to stay in the game. Florida was being overly aggressive. They needed to convert. Samuelson says it was harder coming to the rink the last week or so, not knowing what was going to happen, and again states that it's all because they didn't win hockey games. Okay. Samuelson says he played with Norris at World Junior, says he's a really good, smooth player, is a 200-foot guy, and can be a leader for them too. Samuelson on trades. It sucks losing those guys. That's what happens when you lose hockey games. Tuck said he knew his name was out there around the deadline and that it was stressful for him. Glad the deadline is over. And it's a guy who wants to be a Sabre. Tuck says the reason those guys aren't here anymore is because of the guys in the room and what they haven't accomplished as a team. Says they have to be the best they can be over the last 20 games. Yeah, that's very, very true statement. It's not just on Dylan Cozens. It's definitely not on Denny Gilbert. He did nothing wrong. I guess Ottawa wanted him as part of the deal. They requested Denny Gilbert, and I can see why. Like, he's a good third pairing guy, good rotating guy in. He plays physical, and he stands up for his teammates. Leads by example. Talk on trades. It's tough, honestly. I think we got an unbelievable player. I'm really excited to have Josh, but on the flip side, losing Cozens sucks. And I've known Gibby since he was 4 years old. Those are two guys I'm really going to miss. Yoki Hardy was super fun to be around. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Gilbert, especially if Adams is still the GM, if Gilbert's back in the offseason. I can totally see it. More from Tuck on Josh Norris. Says he's a really good skater and smart player. He brings an exciting skill set to the team. More from Tuck. It was a little too sporadic. We were playing too much perimeter. Dude, I've heard that exact statement like too many times this year. They are impatient team and difficult to play against. It's the reason they are the defending. There's a reason they are the defending Stanley Cup champions. So Josh Norris, this is obviously for the first two periods. I'm not sure what he finished off with, but he had 14 minutes and 7 seconds. Time on ice, 17 shifts, 3 shot attempts, 1 shot, 1 block shot, and went 6 for 10 in the first two periods on faceoffs. He was 60% on faceoffs through 2 periods. I'm not sure how he made out in the third. But again, it's not like Josh Norris played bad. It's just, again, there were a lot of factors that led to maybe why they looked the way they did. There was an illness, but again, that doesn't justify just very uninspiring hockey we saw tonight. I would say probably the best player on the ice tonight might have been UPL. UPL made some really nice saves for them tonight. I mean, you can't really blame the goalie when you don't score, right? So GM Adams needs to go. We need a GM that knows how to build a team. He's signing some of these guys to long-term contracts and thinks he's getting a bargain. Now we are stuck with some of these bums. We need a goalie too. Adams signed UPL long-term contract too. He isn't our answer. See if Josh Allen knows how to skate. Listen. You can't put everything on UPL. I mean, I'm a goalie defender. Always will be. But he did take steps back this year. He was given the net. He was. Last year, Devin Levi came in as your starter. It didn't work out. He went to Rochester, tore it up in Rochester, and then UPL kind of bounced back and forth, between starts. I think it was, Anderson and whatnot. And, I don't know. He was given the net. It was his net to start the season. He's had great stretches this year where he has looked good. But for the most part, he took steps back. He did. And now he's getting paid to be a starting goal in the NHL, a consistent starting goal in the NHL. Like, not many goalies make, the Swayman money, the Shesterkin money, the Denko money. I mean? Not a lot of the guys are making that type of dough, at least goalies. You have to be
among the elite to make that kind of money. And he's making just under $5 million a year, which is very good money for a goaltender in the NHL. And he took steps back. And I know I was speaking, I'm not going to say his name, but a guy within the Buffalo media suggests that they should look into trading UPL in the offseason and finding a legitimate veteran starter who can come in as, been through many different situations, both good and bad, that can handle the pressure and bring with the 2 years now that Levi has had in Rochester, bring him in as the backup and let him play 20 games. And, I don't know, especially if he wins a Calder Cup this year. He's been the best goalie in the AHL. He's by and far been Rochester's best player. He's a big part of the reason why they're the best. They have the best record in the AHL. So to me, it's almost a no-brainer that he should be the backup next year, at the very least. I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and yell and scream anymore because it's just a vicious circle, Groundhog Day of this fucking hockey team, man. Can't wait for Higgins. I think he's gonna be a fantastic player. I think any of those top three guys are going to be massive, massive upgrades to this roster if you put yourself in a position to be a top three pick. UPL doesn't make the crucial save when the team needs it. I tend to agree, especially in the past probably 20 or so games. He hasn't. You plays better when he is competing for that. See, I've said this. I actually kind of disagree with that. But I do agree with the sentiment. I think a goalie, you find out who an athlete, a competitor really is when they're faced with adversity. Like I always thought Devin Levi, if faced with adversity, would excel to the moment. Maybe he just wasn't ready, for the NHL game. Sure, to a certain extent, certain parts maybe. But I just don't feel like UPL is a guy who handles adversity very well. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But listen, I just don't. I've never really. I view UPL if the team in front of him is good enough to be maybe a little bit of a better version of like a Corey Crawford, a very average goaltender who is good enough to win. Maybe that's the type of guy that UPL can be if the team in front of him is good enough. He's not that guy who's going to go out there and night after night steal you games. He might steal you a game here and there, sure, but he's not that guy that, in my opinion, that can be relied upon to go out there and every single night steal games for you, especially if it's a below average team. He's not been that guy to me. He's not consistent enough. Every once in a while, you might get a game like that from him, but it's never going to be a consistent thing with him. At least I haven't seen it yet. And I like UPL. I do. I think he's a tremendous athlete. I think he has tremendous ability. I think his own worst enemy and his biggest problem is up here, and it always has been. That's just my opinion. From Mauricio, Duane, where is hope for Sabres to consistently win? The only hope is that they consistently lose at this point, because that's where I'm at. Everyone is to blame. Players, assistant coaches, GM, Matt Ellis, Pugul, no scouting called incompetence. They are very incompetent. Levi looks overwhelmed. UPL lacks confidence. Levi lets UPL down. I'm not sure what you mean by Levi. I mean, Levi hasn't played a game in the NHL in months, so I don't know what exactly you mean by that. So, and Levi's been absolutely fantastic in Rochester. With Adams probably not getting fired, if we miss again next season, is he finally done? Seems like he has a never-ending leash with Terry Frushing. Yeah, he's Terry's yes man. I've said that from the day he was hired, that he was a yes man. That he is a puppet to Terry Pegula. I've always said that, and I still say it, so I'm blue in the face. But again, if we're going into halfway in next year and this team is below 500 and looking awful, there's no way you can keep Kevin Adams. The fans will riot. Fans will absolutely riot. That's just my opinion. Get Bettman and the league to force Terry to sell the team at this point. Like it's whatever, nothing is going to change, and it starts with him. I mean, I don't know about Levi, but I'll go back to that comment from Stephen Myers. I don't think Bettman can do that. I mean, I can't remember the last time I ever saw something like that. It's not like they're financially drowning. They have a multi-billionaire owner. So I don't see the league doing that. I would like to see them sell the team because, first off, you can't sell the team to anybody who intends on moving the team. It's a clause in the deal that he made with Tom Golisano. Like, Tom Golisano made sure that if he was selling the team, that if the team were ever to be sold again, that it would be under the fact that it couldn't be moved. So, listen, I don't got much more for you guys tonight. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my Saturday night as much as I can here with my bum leg. And as always, guys, I appreciate you hopping on here with me. It's where's Scotty? Where's the Red Baron? I don't know what he's doing tonight, but he just told me he couldn't be on. So, but we will be back with a new episode of Two Goalies, One Mic soon, definitely to recap the trade deadline and give our thoughts of the new players that we have acquired after we've seen them play a few games. So, I'm excited for that. Thank you, Chris. The leg is getting there. I'm only allowed to do toe touches. Not allowed to, still can't really put any pressure on. I start physical therapy on the 27th, hopefully, is my next follow-up doctor's appointment. So we'll see. Like I said, they have put like an 18-inch titanium rod in my leg with 5 screws. So it's going to take a while to heal. Foot's still pretty black and blue. Massive, gnarly scar, though. So can't wait to figure out a story to tell people that when they see it. But hey, guys, if you have enjoyed this content, and before I even get to that, I just want to appreciate the community. Again, I've said this multiple times, but all you guys in the chat that can find other better things to do, but you're always here hanging out with me or me and Hurls. I couldn't appreciate you guys anymore. You guys make doing this more bearable. It's tough to talk about a team that's this bad for this long, consistently this bad. It's tough. It is tough. Trying to find positivity when there's nothing but negativity. So I can't stress this enough. I appreciate all of you so much for always sticking with us and being here to, vent to us, here for you to vent to, talk, how did Duane break his leg? Sorry to break I'll get right to that, Sean, but, for us all to vent to and get our frustrations out, hear me bring up your comments so you guys can be heard. Because you guys are all real fans, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you always being here. So if you have enjoyed this content, please do me a favor. Follow me on Twitter at DuaneS39. You can find us at Two Goalies, One Mic on Twitter. Find us on Facebook as well. Just follow, find me on Facebook. Find the show on Twitter, Two Goalies, One Mic. You can find on Instagram as well. Same handles. And most importantly, if you are watching on YouTube, if you haven't already, please, 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 if you are in the chat and you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and hit that bell icon so you know when we go live. And also, just as important, please like this video. Like it and leave a comment. Helps us with the algorithm. So appreciate that. I appreciate all of you. And Sean, I broke my leg. I was at work and I slipped on ice. My body was turning one way and my bottom half of my body was slipping the other, and heard both the fibula and the tibia snap. And that's all she wrote for me on the IR for a bit. So remember, this is brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from at all 6 Western New York locations, 1 in Rochester, also 1 in Columbus, Ohio, and live music, entertainment, trivia. Go there for, opening day of baseball, or if you want to catch a Sabres game, go to Make It a Fatty Beer. Let them know Two Goalies, One Mic sent you. And as always, Buffalo Logo Apparel, Western New York's best spot for all your locally designed shirts, hats, and hoodies. Whether it's the Bills, the Sabres, the Bandits, they have it all. Make sure you go check them out at Buffalo Logo Co. on Instagram and Twitter. You can find Fatty Beer at Fatty Beer on Instagram and Twitter as well. I am Duane from Two Goalies, One Mic. It's been a pleasure, guys. I'll hang up and listen. And as always, Go Sabres.